I receive a lot of comments from people both online and in conversations I have personally that they'd be Orthodox or they'd be Catholic if it wasn't for closed communion. That's just kind of the line that they cannot cross. How do you see closed communion tying in with this overarching theme of worship as entrance? And why is closed communion maybe actually a good thing or a necessary thing?
Yeah. It's really difficult. And for me, this was very painful when I became Orthodox to realize that I would be effectively breaking communion with brothers and sisters that I had worshiped with. That was true both in my context at PTS, because I attended chapel services there and I no longer took communion, although I would pray with them. And it also would be the case if I go back and visit my Anglican friends. So it is painful. But it seems to me that the pain is reflecting something that's real. And that is that though all those who name Christ are not part of the same body and do not believe even some of the essential things. Now, of course, everybody has a different idea of what they will call essential, where they will draw the line between what's essential and what's not essential. And my dear friend Robert Gagnon and I have arguments about this. And he really thinks that anybody who accepts that Jesus is Lord and worships and has been baptized, that's the essential, and they should be accepted to communion. So this is certainly something that bothers people. I guess what I would say is that open communion is the innovation. No one practiced it until, say, the last 100 years or so. Right? So it's not just Orthodox and Catholics. They're the holdouts. Everybody else, you had to have tickets to take communion in a Reformed church, for example, or a Lutheran church. And if you went traveling, you had to take a letter of recommendation from your pastor. So why did the church do this? Why this caution? Is it just to be mean? Is it just to say we're in and you're out? I think not. I think it's paying close attention to the warning of 1 Corinthians 11 that communion can bring harm to those who take it, not coming from the right place. And so it's a kind of a protection. And by the time we get, so Paul gives a warning, by the time we get to the didache, which, as I say, is either overlapping or very, very close, they actually say no one may take communion who is not baptized. And of course, we're not talking about multiple churches back there. We're talking about anybody who's not a Christian cannot take communion. It's for the sake of the outsider and also for the holiness of the act. Because for Orthodox and Catholics, this isn't just a memorial service. This is coming into contact with the Holy One. This is taking into oneself the very body and blood of Christ. And so it's not ever to be done lightly. And Orthodox will excommunicate themselves if they're not in charity with their neighbor, if they haven't fasted, if they haven't gone to confession recently. They see it as a very serious thing to go and to receive the holy mysteries. So that's part of it. I think the other part is that we're in this individualistic age. This is where we started. And so who takes communion is a larger part of discipline. And the father of the church, the priest, has a responsibility to make sure that people who approach the chalice to take the mysteries aren't going to harm themselves and aren't also going to make a sham of this holy thing. And so it's part of being transparent with each other, communicating with the priest with regards to when there are problems and praying them through, being in charity with the people in your community and so on. It's not just those who aren't Orthodox, or the same with the Catholic. It's not just that. It has to do with what's going on there. I would say it would be like saying it's perfectly okay for an unmarried couple who are attracted to each other to be intimate prior to marriage. It's premature. And it can cause harm.